inside your love. Just one touch means more than words can say. Just one touch, and you're gonna stay for always.
Well, good morning, ladies. If the chat would notice, I'm the only guy on the panel today.
Oh, you poor guy.
No. The crazy brother that you guys all know is flying back to the United States from the UK because he was technically an illegal alien over there. So he was finally be able to get the flight. Mm-hmm. And the True Seeker 69, her name's also Jen. She said she would co-host with me and jump on. And so I appreciate Jen jumping on the True Seeker 69. And She-Squatch, you guys were on before. It was a fantastic show. A lot of people asked if we get them back. And one of the things a lot of people were asking me to ask, I don't know why, but I guess I have to ask this one main question that everybody wants to know. They want to know is how Bigfoot dealing with the virus out there. Is Bigfoot like doing it? Are they wearing their mask? Are they protecting themselves? Are they staying away from humans?
I can honestly say they probably are doing, taking care of the 6 foot rule, be around humans and not be, 6 feet. I think that's pretty natural for them.
I think that they are avoiding us like the plague.
So they're still avoiding us. So they're all right.
It kind of is the plague.
Right? Yeah, no doubt.
Right. Actually, I think that they, beings that they are supposedly so closely genetically related to us in some way or another, and even the gorillas are supposedly at risk from this virus. And I've heard stories from Native American tribes about the Bigfoot having smallpox when there was a smallpox outbreak. They could be exposed to this as well, but thankfully I don't think they're getting in very close to any humans. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
There is some report.
They're probably wondering where all the humans are because nobody's out camping in the national parks. They're all closed. So they're probably going to start coming out to see, hey, where is everybody?
Where's food? You're probably right. There was some news source that I don't know why they would be testing a dog, but some dog actually came down apparently with the virus. I don't know if none of you heard that story.
I did.
Who heard it?
I heard it.
Oh, I have not. Tell us about it.
I don't know too much. They're just saying some dog had it and they tested it, and the dog's fine. They're giving it, unless True Seeker, unless you heard something different than the story, but I just heard the dog just had it, and there's dog's not dead or nothing, is doing fine.
Yeah. No, I don't buy anything.
I've heard of cats having it.
A cat? I don't even know how an animal could. Why would they even test an animal? Because
why would they test an animal? They can't use the same testing for humans as for animals. There has to be animal tests made for animals. You see what I'm saying? So I mean,
well, they do have COVID tests for animals.
They do?
COVID is not, it's not an unknown thing in cattle. So they have testing for animals. They had that before they had testing for humans.
It wouldn't be the same for humans as for animals, though. It would be a different test kit and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Animals have plenty of bacteria and germs within their mouths and all kinds of stuff going on. Especially, if we're eating that type of meat or drinking the milk from those animals and stuff that may have this. A lot of things have been passed on to humans through milk and everything that wasn't pasteurized. But as far as the severity of the whole COVID thing and all this fear mongering that's going on, it's over the top with all these animals to humans and everything. It's just, what are you supposed to fear your pet now? I mean, give me a freaking break.
It's kind of weird, actually. I have a friend, their family, he got sick at work. So he has to go get tested, right? They told him to go to the hospital. He has to get tested. He came back to work because his job involves vehicles. And when he went to try to get tested, because he couldn't go back to work, the hospital was giving him a bad time. They were actually asking him like, "Why are you here?" They go, "Well, you guys told me to come here." They actually showed the place like, the doctor told me I have to come here. Well, you're in the wrong place. And what are you trying to do? Get LNI? I mean, they were giving him such a hard time, and he had to get to the point like, look, I don't care to get tested or not. I can't go back to work unless I'm tested. Your place told me to come here. He actually had to raise his voice. So it's just weird that we hear all these numbers from these places. Like, where are they getting these numbers from? Because real people can't even get tested when they need to get tested. And then, of course, the family, apparently they all caught it, but they were fine. They said the only thing that really happened to them is they got a little tired. They weren't really like, they had like 1 day of a fever, and then that was it. They were jumping up and down. So I'm like, every time I hear these numbers, I'm like, well, where does the numbers coming from? Because when my son got sick, his lungs started to hurt, right? It hurt him. So I called the doctor. I said, what should I do? They told me to go to this place because he has to get tested, right? I can't take him to the regular doctor. So I took him to the emergency room. I'm like, why are you here? The doctor told me to take him here. Well, they took him in the back. They said, well, you don't qualify for the test. Just go home, take 2 aspirins, and you're good to go. And then, of course, I get billed as an emergency visit, not a regular doctor visit. Because if you get tested, then the government will pay for it. So I'm like, why am I even getting charged for an emergency visit when I was told to come here? So the whole thing is all just weird.
Right.
It's all jacked up. It's creating hysteria. Hysteria is part of their magic. Hysteria is created when you use witchcraft and spell casting and stuff.
It's weird. But hey, since last time you came on,
I'm looking at Tammy. I'm waiting for Tammy. Tammy?
I'm a witch, and that's bullshit. But anyway. I actually have a friend that has COVID-19, and she actually has had it for over a month. And she's had fevers of 101 to 103 like the entire time. And she was never intubated, but they kept her in the hospital. And then they sent her home, and she's like locked in her room. She can't have any exposure at all to her family. And they won't release her to even be around her family because she's the only one in her house that has it. And I also have another friend that her grandmother and grandfather both caught it, and her grandfather died within 24 hours. A healthcare worker was coming in and taking care of them, and she was sick, and she had it, and she gave it to both of them. One of them survived, one of them did not. So, I mean, it's touched my life personally. So I don't think that it's just a bunch of hooey, because I know people that have had it, and I know people that have died from it. But it has absolutely zero to do with witchcraft. I just have to put that out there.
And people die all the time of the flu. So it's just another strain of flu virus. And sure, people die all the time from the flu. As far as the word fascination, fascinating, and hysteria, they are used in witchcraft. Maybe not the type of witchcraft that you do, but from long time ago, these words were part of their magic vocabulary, you might say. That's
well, I mean, it's part of the human vocabulary. It's not just witches that use those words. We all use the word fascinating. We all use those words. It's not anything to do with witchcraft. Where it comes from.
When you look up fascination and fascinating, even entertainment and stuff, all that from Hollywood, holly, the holly tree, the wand, magician's magic, it all stems from that.
But what's sad about
I'll give you that.
I didn't get to go Yakima and see your guys's you guys were having a group up there, right? You actually had a convention for Bigfoot in Yakima, and this didn't get to happen.
It was postponed to October, so you can still come see us there in October. We're
still
it's
going to be in October?
Yes. The Yakima Valley Bigfoot Con is going to be in October. I don't know the date right off the top of my head, but it's been postponed to October. So we will still be out there for probably a week, even though the event is like a day and a half, I think. There's like a VIP dinner type thing, and then there's like a day of the event. But we're going to be out there for like a week touring the area and Bigfooting up in the mountains and at the fire towers that are the cabins that they don't use anymore at the fire towers because Bigfoot were surrounding the cabins at night. So they don't man those cabins at night anymore. So we're excited. We're going to get to go stay in those cabins.
Oh my gosh. Talk about exciting. Oh.
Well, you got Cody Scott Rose, I think he wrote I love in Yakima. I think he meant I live in Yakima. So you got a person right there that lives in Yakima.
Hi, Cody.
And then I think Silly Fan Man lives right there in Portland. So you got a lot of people that lives in this area. Happy Feet Gal lives in the Seattle area, which I do.
And we're also supposed to be in Ocean Shores, Washington in November for Sasquatch Summit. So you've got 2 opportunities to come and see us.
I love Ocean Shores.
Oh yeah, we did too. We were there last year.
It was gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Yes, I loved it.
Yeah, so since last time, I mean, since the shutdown, has that stopped you 3 to go on any Bigfoot hunts? Have you been on a Bigfoot hunt lately, and have you seen any evidence? No, nothing?
No, Jenna just recently got back from Texas. She winters in Texas. So she was on a forced quarantine because they do that when you come in from out of state. So she's been quarantined, but we've been social distancing. And yeah.
Which is very hard because that's all we want to do is get out there. We want to get out into the forestry and the woods. And I mean, I'm craving it so bad. We have to get out there soon.
Yeah, just go.
Easier said than done. Did you know if I were to go to my mother's cabin in Minnesota and come back to Fargo, and now granted, this is about an hour and a half drive, I would have to self-quarantine myself for 14 days just because I was in another state.
Wow, even in a forest? Because a forest are not people.
Well, that's if someone turned me in, but I'm such a rule follower. I'd be like, I better do it.
Snitches gets rewards.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Doggone snitches.
Snitches get stitches where I'm from. Left and
God darn it. No, these fists have never touched the face.
I've been looking at when I drive over the river, I look down at the woods around the river and I'm like, I wonder if it's dry enough yet. Because we've been under a flood warning. So the water's been coming up and going down. So I'm like, I bet it's really, really icky muddy down there right now. But walking along the river is fun.
I still have mud in my driveway.
Yeah. We're just coming out of winter. I mean,
I still have mud in my driveway, so I'm pretty sure the woods are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
I think it was 37 degrees last night. So we're just coming out of winter.
I was laying out the other day getting tan. I'm in Alabama.
Oh, you're such a thinker. I see the glow. I see it.
I was white too. I needed a tan, but now today it's like 55 out, and I'm like, what's going on with this weather?
Right. At least you got your color, girl.
Yeah. Like I like Silly Fan Man. Like, why? Who will enforce that? And that's the thing. That's a weird thing. Like around here is I don't even see cops no more. It's like, what? Are they all homesick too? I mean, I'm serious. I drive the streets. It's empty. Like no cops, no nothing anywhere.
The place.
If you want to see,
the place where
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The place where I would love to take the team right now and just go immerse ourselves in the woods, we can't go to because it's on my reservation, and they have what they call medical martial law right now, and they have police on every road that enters the reservation. They will not let you come in.
Wow.
Yeah, the new norm. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah. And that's because the majority of people on the reservation are diabetic and therefore at high risk. So they're just doing whatever they can to keep it off the reservation.
But that word does drive me crazy. That the new norm, I'm serious. That word just drives me crazy because even after everything is over, people are still going to wear masks. Like not now, if I go to Walmart's still the same here. Costco, I have to wear a mask if I want to go to Costco now. You can't go on without it. But I don't know how to enforce that because by medical laws, if you have a medical condition, you don't have to wear it and you don't have to show proof. So that's kind of a weird.
Yeah, I'm allergic to masks. And if you wear a mask for more than like 10 minutes at a time, you do serious damage to your lungs by breathing in your own CO2. I mean, there's article after article you can read about the damage that, when you exhale for a reason, not to breathe it right back in, but from having constriction over your airways.
Would
It's
that be
just
from
plain ridiculous?
Would that be from all masks or N95
No, that's
or
not all masks. N95 cannot be
It's
that.
not
It's
all
a
masks,
medical-
but if you look at the masks that people are wearing, the blue masks and stuff.
Oh, you're talking
it's
about
not
those.
doing them. And then you got people running and jogging with these things on all day. I mean, do they have two brain cells to rub together? You got a freaking smartphone in your hand. Look some stuff up and stop trusting what the government says, because clearly it's detrimental to your health.
But I have to say, not everything on the internet is true. There's so much false information, and if someone's looking up the false information, they think they're right. And
what's cool is the stores here do have an hour, like in the morning, just for senior citizen, for people over the age of 55. So I mean, they do have time sets for people over the age 55. They don't want to be around, which is cool. And then but now you three, I know Jen, not Truth Seeker Jen. She does. She came on before. We did some stories about Dogman. Now you three are not really. You guys don't research anything about Dogman, right? You two are just the Bigfoot side, correct?
Yeah, mostly the Bigfoot stuff. Some other cryptids that would be in the area we've looked into as well. But we haven't done anything with Dogman. I actually haven't heard any Dogman reports around here.
Whenever somebody comes to me with a Dogman report, I refer them to one of my friends who actually does investigations for Dogman. So he usually just takes it from there.
But have you heard anything about Dogman in Minnesota?
I guess I haven't really looked. I haven't looked for that information.
There's probably a lot of stuff out there because he's everywhere. I mean, Dogman's all over the place, just like Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's not TV shows, but there's shows on Dogman. Now, what is the main difference between Truth Seeker? What is the main difference that you learned between a Dogman and a Bigfoot?
Well, Dogman is a canine, and it has a snout with the ears, kind of like a German Shepherd kind of head, with the torso of a man. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger looking type of build. Your basic werewolf, pretty much, is where the werewolf lore comes from, is from Cynocephali. And Cynocephali has been around since before Marco Polo and Christopher Columbus. As a matter of fact, they've even documented these dog-headed beings in their travels. And you can look up all kinds of historical accounts about dogmen and this type of civilization that was known as Cynocephali. They were in India, Scotland, Iraq, all over the place. They're here in America. France knows them as the Lugaroos. They're all over Tennessee. I mean, everywhere pretty much you would find Bigfoot, you're going to find Dogman as well. And so basically he looks like a werewolf. And if anybody ever wonders where the werewolf lore stems from, it's from these dog-headed creatures that were actually civilized at one point. They used to trade with humans. They used to barter. They didn't have a language that humans could understand per se, but they used hand gestures and simple kind of barking and nodding and stuff. They had a hierarchy within their own civilization. Some of them wore clothes, some of them didn't. The kings and queens and emperors would hire them into work to come into their military, fighting battles for them because they were so fierce. They were such fierce warriors. Ever since the last reset, the last mud flood that came in and reset everything, a lot of them didn't make it through the reset. Their civilization broke up. They went deeper and deeper into the woods and into the cave systems, and then they've started to come back out, and it seems like they're multiplying in great numbers because there's a lot of sightings of dogmen now, and especially in urban areas that you wouldn't think you would find a dogman trotting around.
Yeah, there's articles, stories. I just found one right here. The story of Kentucky Dogman.
Yeah. So he has a dog, the haunches of a dog, the back legs of a dog. He can stand up or run on all fours, but the arms and the hands are human looking. They're not they're humanoid looking. Let's put it that way. He doesn't have like front paws and back paws. He has actual hands with claws on them.
So,
And they can run.
I find that fascinating.
do you
8
think
to 10
that?
feet tall.
So, if this is where the legend of the werewolf comes from, can they transform themselves into humans and back again?
I'm not sure about. See, now that would lead into like the skinwalker stuff that the Indians have, that the legend of the skinwalkers and everything, which they don't like to talk about. As far as what I've researched is that this is actually a civilization or a species of humanoid-looking, upright walking canines. That they don't shapeshift per se. But that's not to say that the Indians don't have the ability to shapeshift, and they may choose to shapeshift into one of these animals or humanoid animals that we call dogman or cynocephali or cynocephali, however you want to say it, tomatoes. But yes, these things have been well documented back in the 14th century, the 12th century, all the centuries leading up to the reset, which may have taken place in the mid to early 1800s, the mud flood. A lot of things didn't make it through that mud flood, but some did. And they seem to have, started up their multiplying again.
Can I just mention something?
Yeah.
The question was, and I think I understood this, that the question was, what is the big difference between Bigfoot and Dogman? And we don't know a whole lot about Dogman. I want you to understand that, but I do understand, and I realize that more people who we've talked to about Dogman have said that it has been a very life-changing experience, and for the negative. These people are suffering. These people are suffering. PSTD, or what is it? Post-traumatic stress disorder.
PTSD.
Yes, I couldn't quite spit it out.
He's so terrifying. He's so terrifying looking
But
that
with
even
Bigfoot,
when he.
But with what I was saying was, here it is Bigfoot and Dogman. Bigfoot, there's not as many terrifying experiences. Dogman, it seems like up in the 90 percentile where people are saying, oh my gosh, this changed my life. I was so scared. I can't do anything. I don't want to go here again. Where Bigfoot, a lot of people aren't having those as negative effects. I don't know. What do you girls think?
Our experiences with Bigfoot there was the one time, the first time that I had an encounter where we were getting surrounded by multiple Bigfoot, but they stopped as soon as I thanked them in the Ojibwe language. We were on an Ojibwe reservation, and I started to speak and pray in the Ojibwe language, and as soon as I thanked them, it stopped. So I have I lean towards that they're very intelligent and they respect that then they backed off. I don't know that their intention was to hurt us at all, but they were definitely coming at us from all directions.
Letting you know you're there, at least. Yeah,
absolutely. And
that was my question too, because are they, there are a lot of reports of Bigfoot being aggressive. But like every report that I've heard from people that all of the dogmen that they have encountered are aggressive. But if they used to interact with humans and trade with humans, I can't believe both. So if they were with humans, then they can't all have bad experiences.
I totally understand. But see, when they used to interact with humans, this was centuries ago, before the reset. Okay, they were civilized. They've lost their civilization, and what was left over, they went back into their animalistic ways. And then a lot of the experiences that they did have with humans, when humans were running into them, weren't good experiences. If humans had guns, they were trying to shoot them. So maybe their pups got shot and stuff like that. They're very vindictive, very vengeful, and they will track you down just like a hound dog will. As a matter of fact, most of the dogmen back in the cynocephali time of their civilization, they were mostly hound-headed dogmen, not as so much what we're seeing now, where it's the pointy-eared kind of German Shepherd wolf kind of look to it. So there's different species to the dogmen. There's probably different species to the Yeti and the Bigfoot and all these different terms for them in different areas and stuff, just like humans.
Sure.
There have been non-aggressive dogman encounters. They seem to be able to communicate telepathically with some humans. I think Bigfoot may have that ability with some humans. They use infrasound. The growl that you might hear that'll vibrate in your chest could be a quarter of a mile away, but it'll feel like it's right up there on you, and it can make you feel sick and get a headache. But 9 times out of 10, you see this thing that's 12 feet tall with huge fangs and claws and towering over you and all muscular. It's pretty fucking terrifying. You know what I mean? Even if he's standing there just like looking at you normal, he still looks horrible and aggressive. And everybody always say he looks like he looks through your soul. Or they have these amber glowing eyes. Now, Bigfoot has either red eyes or glowing eyes sometimes as well. Is people have reported that?
Different reports of different colored eyes. You hear the red eyes, you hear the golden, the amber colored eyes. Sometimes even people have talked about green. But it's a weird thing that they talk about how sometimes they self-illuminate the eyes without even being shined at. Yes. Which is interesting. Yes. That's interesting. Because I don't know of any other animal in the world that does that.
Yeah, Dogman has that quality as well. I don't know if it's some sort of maybe it has to do something with their breed and their height, and they mostly are active at night, so they have that type of backlit night vision in their eyes. No, nobody's really autopsied them like Bigfoot. We don't really know, how everything works on that being. But Dogman and Bigfoot have been seen playing together, walking together, and they've also been seen fighting each other. So it's just like human activity. You got ones that are friendly with other races and stuff, and other ones that fight with different clans or whatever.
So can I ask you, where are you finding this information? I find it fascinating, but I would also like to look and maybe try to find some more information on what you're saying too, because I mean, it is very fascinating, but I just don't believe everything I hear. I mean, I don't think anybody does, but I'd love to do a little bit of research on that. And, so where are you finding this?
I mean, your mind is like a parachute. They both work better when they're open.
Definitely.
You look up cynocephaly, and you can look at all the history that has been documented through the writings of Christopher Columbus, Marco Polo, and many other explorers who went through exploring all these different lands and encountered these dog-headed men. And there's also a lot of other cryptids from the past that we're not familiar with that seem to be documented as well. But if you want to look up cynocephaly, that begins with a C, CENOCEPHLI, I think it is, cynocephaly. And you'll get all the stuff on it. And of course, I don't believe everything I hear on the internet either. I have great discernment over my last 15 years of research into the truth of matters. So I know when things are bullshit and when things aren't, and how to sift through it and pick out, the meat and leave the bones. As far as Bigfoot goes, the same goes with that as well. You'd have to go back to the ancient legends coming from the Indians and the different cultures who have had this in their cultural lore for centuries and decades and stuff. Cynocephaly is where I started, and then I started listening to Dogman Encounters. There's a show called Dogman Encounters where people talk about their encounters that they had with this being. It's pretty terrifying, most of them. A lot of times there's nothing that happens in the encounter. It's just the encounter itself is terrifying because of how scary this thing looks. But there's not usually a whole lot of aggression as far as it trying to attack people. It has shaken cars that people were sitting in near parks and stuff and freaked them out that way. As they see this, 5 foot tall dog on all fours that suddenly stands up and now it's 10 feet tall, and it's right in front of their car. Yeah, it's pretty fucking scary. But yeah, if you look up Cenos.
Oh, here it is. Somebody wrote it right here.
There you go.
Yeah, cynocephaly.
Yeah. But an average person, like say an average person like me goes out in the forest and a creature jumps out, like you say, you only see for a fast glance because they're gone faster than a fly on shit. I probably could have saw Dogman or Bigfoot and not even realize what I saw because it just happened so quick. You're probably so scared. You probably don't even realize what you're looking at. Like, because I'm not an expert, I don't go out and investigate it. So who knows what I'm actually really seeing out there.
Well, and you said the word expert. There are no experts in any of this. The only thing we can do is like we are doing. We're looking at history. We're looking at what we're finding. We're looking at what other people are finding, and we're documenting. And that's why it's so important to document these things. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because that's where the truth comes out when you start getting multiple reports from different people that having the same kind of story, the same kind of look. Then you kind of. But all the stories you hear about Bigfoot, like the red eyes, some have green eyes, maybe. You think maybe that could be depending on the area what part of the country that they're in, like kind of like we adapt to the climate. Maybe Bigfoot, Dogman adapts to their climates, and that could explain why sometimes their eyes could be different.
I think that might be speculation. I guess I don't know if that is true or not. There's all kinds of different eye colors in humans living all in together, so I'm not even sure if that would play a part in that. I did hear someone say once that they thought the red-eyed ones were more aggressive, but I don't know if there's truth to that or not.
Yeah, without actually like having one in front of you. Like you said last time, like when you try to get that perfect HD picture, if you see one in front of you, you're so nervous and scared. That's why your camera is always shaking. You can never get that one beautiful, clear shot. Or is there anywhere
I wouldn't say scared
where you guys somebody actually might have got a good shot that I haven't seen yet? Or
well, I know when we took our footage up on the top of the mountain in Tennessee, it wasn't us being scared. It was excitement and, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm getting this. This is so awesome. And then I would move the FLIR to look at the trees to readjust it and then put it back to make sure that, it wasn't picking up any fuzziness, so I would move it back and forth. But definitely we would like to have better equipment, and we have gotten some upgrades since then. But fear is subjective, and not much scares me. If I see something, it may startle me for a second, but I'm not scared of hardly anything. So, but definitely, I think that us being able to capture that, we don't have any more footage other than what you showed last time we were on because we haven't been able to get out. But I think it's more equipment than fear that, gives us the quality or not quality of photographs. And you could have great equipment, but in the moment, it may not function properly, or you may be shaking around because you're excited and you're jumping around and we're moving and we're looking. But yeah, I think that it's not necessarily fear, but lack of proper equipment, which we have, been working on, and excitement. I mean, I know some people are scared of stuff like that, but speaking for me personally, and I know us three girls together, we're pretty brave. We get out there, we're brave. We don't go running back to our car every time we hear a twig snap in the woods, so.
Every time you watch those TV shows, they're running off every single little sound.
This winter, Tammy and I went walking through the woods, and we were pretty deep back in there. And it was winter. We were walking through the snow, and I tell you what, I felt it the next day. That was something. But we were back there, and somebody started firing a rifle. We didn't even run. But somebody
we're from the country.
Yeah. So that didn't make us
and
run.
It's not far from a gun range. If somebody didn't know the area and heard that, they would probably think they were being shot at. But we're used to hearing gunshots, and people shoot guns all the time out here, and there wasn't a gun range too far from there, so it could have been either somebody just out there practicing or somebody at the gun range. The wind carried very well that day. The noise carried good.
Yeah, I remember you all told me that when you go out and do some investigation, you don't bring weapons or anything, just yourselves, like cameras and stuff. I think, if I remember right, you said that Bigfoot can sense, like, if somebody's out there for the wrong reason, and they're really not going to show. Am I right?
That's what we think. We think that. But, the whole reason that we started the team was because Lauren Coleman had the idea that women should go into the woods without men, dogs, or guns. And he thought that would be the recipe for success in getting close to Bigfoot. So that's what we've been doing. We don't take weapons out there. We don't typically we don't take men. Sometimes we do when we're traveling and we're doing, these Bigfoot hunts with other people. But for the most part at home, we don't. So, I mean, we go out there without protection. So, and we've been okay.
Now,
when we did do an immersion. Jenna and I did an immersion for a weekend with the bears. We were immersed in the bears with black bears. And that was really fun. And she was scared of bears before that. And I think that she's kind of worked through that a lot. Right, Jenna?
Oh, very much so. Oh my goodness. Not saying that you shouldn't be afraid of bears, but these bears in this particular area were very tame to the fact that cars are coming in, dropping off their garbage. They see people plus food equals their good time. You know what I mean? So why hurt the good time? Why hurt the people when they know that the people are just giving them food? So now I'm sitting here thinking, wow. In fact, Jen, I told her, I said, here, take my camera. I said, I'm going to go because I asked her, I said, can I go and put something in the bag when there's, in these big, huge garbage containers while there's bear out there? And she goes, yeah, do it. So I said, okay, take my camera. And so I walk out there. And of course, I'm weird. I had purchased some goodies. What kind of goodies were they, Jen? Some kind of ho-hos or Twinkies. Okay. So I took the Twinkies out of their packages to make it much easier for my fellow bears. And I should say bear. So anyway, I start walking up and I'm walking very slowly thinking, holy crap, what am I doing? This is incredible. What a life. So anyway, I'm ready to throw it in and a bear pops up and I'm like, ooh, and it like jumps out almost out of the container and I'm going, and I throw it in there. And then I start walking back very calmly because I know I'm on videotape. So I'm just like being very calm. And I get back to the vehicle and I said, well, go ahead, Jen.
No, finish your story and then I'll tell my perspective of what happened.
So anyway, I'm walking back to the vehicle. I'm totally freaked out. I get back to the vehicle. I said, let me see. And I start watching this video and I'm not in it at all. So me asking Jen to take a video of me feeding the bears was of the bear. It wasn't me. I think you got to see this much of my hand.
Your arm was there.
Like this.
But
like that.
Let me tell you how it really happened. I know that her adrenaline was probably pumping, so everything was happening in slow motion for her. So she may think that she went very slowly up there, but she literally said, okay, let's go. And she ran up there and tossed it in. I wasn't ready.
Hey, when I say I'm going to do something, you better be ready. I think Tammy's the same way. It's kind of like get up. All right, you say you're going to do. But I mean, in my mind, yes, I was. So go ahead. Sorry, Jen.
So I'm like trying to quickly get my thing ready, and she's like, okay. And she runs up there and she tosses it in and the bear jumped up, of course. And but it wasn't, she must have been experiencing things in slow motion.
Down. Yeah.
It wasn't slow. It was very quick. So
fear slows down everything.
Yes.
But we did overnights with the bears there. And, I knew that this particular area had like a fenced in area. So my plan was to have our back up against the fence so that we would have, just one area to watch in the dark. And the bears had pulled the fence down. So we didn't have a fence to back up against. So here we are out there at night. And, one of us was using the night vision stuff, which you use with one eye. And when you use it, it hurts your eyes so bad that you can't see anything when you take it away. So we had one of us was using the night vision stuff. The other one was naked eyeballing it to watch for the bears. And it was really, really dark out. And at one point, I was the one watching for the bears and Jenna was using the equipment. And I think the bear got within 10 feet of us before I actually saw it coming. It was a big bear. And I'm like, bear, turn the light on.
No, let me tell my side of the story now. So when Jen saw the bear, she said, turn on the car, bear. That's more like what she said. But it was really, really incredible, though, being there, because the whole reason, I don't know if we explained this before, but the whole reason that we had actually gone to this area was Jen had this great idea, because bear need the same thing as Bigfoot, we assume, water, food, and this was a big area. So go ahead.
Well, not only that, but you know, we had found our huge den-like stick structure that we believe was built by Bigfoot, and so did the local natives believe that it was built by Bigfoot. So it was less than a mile back behind that area through the woods. So, and I knew this area very well. I knew that the bears ate there. I'd been there before many times. And I thought, okay, well, let's hang out there. Maybe since it's so close, what if Bigfoot's coming out there at night and getting a little snack at the buffet? Because there's been reports of that happening at similar areas in native reserves in Canada, where they were actually being spotted there at night. So I thought, let's check this out. Let's do a stakeout. And my whole hope was that if we hang out there long enough, they'll get used to us and just like ignore us.
And they did.
The bears did. The bears started ignoring us. I had like a sneezing fit that just went on, and the bears didn't even look at me.
Didn't even flinch. These things were so used to us being there, because we had been there, I don't even know how many hours, but
we were there for like the weekend. Well, then the next weekend I went back up there because I had to be there for something else. And I wanted to get more day footage of the woods back there next to that. And so I went out there and I got out of the car, set up my tripod and started filming, and standing there, and here comes these 3 bear cubs. And they walk into the area and they stopped and they look at me like, whoa, there's somebody in here. And then they're like, oh, it was like they recognized me. Oh, it's just her again. Never mind. And they just went about their business to go have some snack. And here comes their mom, and just like completely ignored me. So they did get used to me being there, that I wasn't a threat. And they just continued on with what they were doing. Where before, the cubs wouldn't come in when we were there.
Mm-hmm. That's really amazing.
Isn't that incredible? It was really, really an incredible experience. And I'd love for all 3 of us to go back and do it again and be ready for everything.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing we didn't, well, exactly. The only thing we didn't have there, which I wish we would have, but we wouldn't have needed it, is to make we've got some material to make casts. And boy, that would have been neat to get a nice big bear cast, Jen and Tammy. We should really...
You know, I'm going to suggest that perhaps this fall, when they do the big powwow, they try to trap all the bears and take them away so that they don't come into the campground area, because people only camp there once a year. And so they try to take the bears away. They don't do bear hunting up there at all. And there's lots of big bears. There's lots of them. And so they trap the bears and haul them away. So I think that might be a good time to go back in the woods back there. Maybe we should plan a Bigfoot expedition during that time when they've trapped the bears and taken them away, so that we can go back there and just explore with knowing that they're not back there.
I have a question for you ladies. Have you noticed any different branch structures, tree structures and stuff that I hear Bigfoot creates? Do you document that kind of stuff as well? Because there's something on YouTube called the Forest Beings or Forest People, and they document all that stuff. They go up into the woods and show what they believe are the Bigfoot structures, that clearly it just didn't fall this way. It was constructed and stuff.
The ones that we found up in that area literally are trees pulled out of the ground and then shoved back in. And they're like put together in clumps and then teepeed together. And then there's like a foliage weaved between them, like into levels. And there was like literally towers, like that go up 2-3 stories tall. And then be like, that. And it was like a Walmart aisle end cap. Like that was like the width of it. And then behind it got shorter, but it was a whole structure that was long and rectangular behind it. And everything was trees stacked behind like they were stacked this way behind it. And then they were weaved together. And it even had a roof that could keep the rain out. I mean, it was just really intricately built. Nothing was tied or nailed. And natives even say that if it was native built, it would have been tied together at least. And because it was so close to a drivable trail, it wasn't a road. It's not even a minimum maintenance road. It's a little trail. But because of the way they hunt up there, they hunt from the back of vehicles, where they're shooting from the back of a vehicle. So no person would ever build anything like that 75 feet off of a drivable trail, because you'll get shot. So, all the native elders up there, are convinced that those are built by Bigfoot. The DNR, the tribal DNR up there, says that they sometimes come across these things and they just back away slowly because they don't want to have an altercation with Bigfoot. They have a really
Have you
big
seen stacked rocks? Have you seen any rock stacking? I heard they do rock stacking too, or try to like create something with rocks and stuff.
There aren't really rocks in the woods back there. Really, okay. I've never seen like big rocks back there, just pebbles and stuff. But closer to the beach, closer, because this is a peninsula. It's a large peninsula of land that is surrounded by water on three sides. So along that area, there's rocks, and sometimes there are rock stacks, but we don't know if they were built by people or Bigfoot. It would be hard to say for sure on that one.
Yeah. Down more in like the Tennessee area and Kentucky and stuff like that, there's some decent sized rocks and boulders and everything, but somebody was recording that there was like a just like stacking of rocks, not actually making any kind of structure, but rocks that were clearly purposely stacked on top of each other, whether to just create a marker for that area or something. But it was right along the lines of all these trees that happen to be TP'd, like not actually a covered structure, but the limbs and the trees themselves that looked like they had fallen or they were ripped out and shaped into some sort of a structure. Mm-hmm. But they surmise it's Bigfoot as well.
Yeah, some of the things that have been up in the woods up there, and this is interesting because the trails back there were literally carved out by the local native people to get back there to gather the fallen trees for firewood. So, I mean, it's not a road. I mean, if you drive back there, you're going to scratch up your car for sure. And we did. And so it's really just my truck that we take back there because you will get it scratched up for sure. So we have our Squatch ready vehicle. And there were trees that were pulled out of the ground, root systems and all, and teepeed together with the roots in the air. Big trees. And there's no machinery up there that could do that because they don't have like logging crews up there. So there's only one thing that could have done that. And I know a lot of the native people up there, and they talk to me about things that they're seeing up there. And just last year, one of the elders was out in the woods hunting, and he said that a very large male Bigfoot went through the woods nearby him, and he was just terrified because he just stood still and watched him go by.
How big does Bigfoot actually get? Like, what's the biggest one you've heard of that was encountered? Maybe like 15 foot, or?
I've never heard of from somebody up there, I've never heard of a 15-foot tall one. I mean, I think 8, 9, maybe 10.
9. Yeah. And aren't they like 3-4 feet wide in the chest and stuff? They're pretty wide.
Some of them are, yes. Some of them can be small too. Like I think they would be considered children or juveniles. One that Jenna and I had encountered in Indiana was actually very, very small and thin. So we didn't even realize that we encountered it at the time. But it was very, very small and thin. So I think it was probably a child. So, yeah, very interesting stuff. It's fun for us to get out there and do that. And I can't wait till we can get out there again.
It is interesting because they must not travel together, because I never hear stories that they've seen 2 Bigfoot out there. All the stories always only see one. So I'm guessing if they had babies, they must like split up and go different directions.
Well, I think that
we didn't go right behind a tree. You wouldn't even see them.
I think what you're talking about are people sighting them along the roadways. And I don't think that they're taking their kids out by the roadway. I think that's just not going to happen very often.
Be cute.
Yeah, it would be cute, but I don't think that they do that.
That would be a money shot.
Also, talk about family units or seeing them deep in the forest. And
also, if and I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Jen, because I love hearing you speak about this, but I do have to say too, we protect our children by not bringing them into certain areas and around certain people or animals. Sorry, go ahead, Jen.
That's exactly true. And you know, I've often wondered, what are Bigfoot doing by the road if not just crossing the road? What are they doing by the road? And in Minnesota, our ditches are a lot of times filled with cattails. And if you're not familiar with the cattails are, it's a plant that looks like very thick, tall grass, and it's edible, and it actually tastes really good. So it's not, a lot of people just know about the root systems in the fall can be dug up and eaten. They taste kind of like a rutabaga, but also during the summertime, the whole green part that looks like grass is edible. You just take the top part off and you peel it back, and the very top part is very hard and pointy, and if you peel it back, it's going to have a long stem of green. So and natives used to use that as a needle and thread, so you can literally sew something, but then you just keep peeling the green part off of it, and the whole inside is edible. It tastes like a cucumber, and there is tons and tons and tons of this all over the ditches of Minnesota. So if they're being seen frequently by the road, I tell people, watch out for the cattails. Are there cattails there? Are they harvesting food to bring back to their family? You know.
Well, we also have a lot of deer in Minnesota, so they could be collecting the roadkill on the side of the road, because we go through a lot of deer in the state on the highways.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, well, I have a question about that, because Dogman is often seen on the side of the road in a ditch eating some sort of a roadkill or something that he killed right there, maybe crossing the road, because he's often seen crossing roads chasing after deer and stuff. Does Bigfoot typically, it's not a carnivore typically, or it chooses to eat meat? And also a big question I have is, does Bigfoot know how to use fire? I know you might be thinking, well, why would he need to? But I'm just curious because, you know, I mean, maybe he could have figured out how to rub some sticks together and create a little fire. Have you found any evidence of that or anything?
Well, that's a good question.
First of all, I think Bigfoot has a diet similar to a natural native diet, which would be vegetables and you know, greens and mushrooms and meat, things that they could gather naturally. Okay. And then to answer your question about fire, we've never seen evidence that Bigfoot uses fire, ever. And in Minnesota, where it can get 50 below zero, you would think we would find evidence of that if they could or did use fire. So, but what we think is happening in the areas in Minnesota where there are not cave systems or things like that is that they're digging down like a den, like a bear does.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Very interesting.
But also, when it comes to fire, they wouldn't want to get, you know, anybody to, I mean, fire creates smoke, smoke creates attention creates people. Yeah. They would never want to create any kind of attention, I'm assuming.
Right. So our teeth aren't set up to eat raw meat because, you know, you'd have to have pointy teeth like canines and stuff like that. Does Bigfoot typically known for having like human type? I have a pointy line right here too. But
I have very
our colons aren't set up. Our colons aren't set up to digest red meat. We have to cook our meat to eat it. I was wondering if Bigfoot is typically a herbivore or is he a carnivore? You know, like, I don't know if he has pointy teeth or not. Has anybody ever described his teeth? Like Dogman, of course, has a canine snout with the teeth and everything. Clearly a carnivore.
You know, it's a good question. I actually talked to a friend of mine. You know, we talk to so many people in these different events, and they do, you know, I wish I had the exact information, but there are people out there that have a comparison of the whole jaw, the teeth, the everything between a human, a primate, and a possible Bigfoot, what they think Bigfoot would be created. I unfortunately can't give you the exact information. In a minute, after the show, I'll give you the person's name and you can check it out because he's got an abundance of fabulous information. He even talks about their voices, their throats, how it's all different. So I'll get that out to you later.
Yeah, and they mimic a lot of stuff. Don't they mimic?
Yeah, I know that they can mimic different animals' sounds too. But I have heard reports and seen drawings from different people who have had sightings of Bigfoot close up, where some of people are saying that their teeth are similar to ours. They're just bigger and thicker. But then other people are saying that they do have fangs. So there could be a difference from one place to another, because we know the skunk ape down in Florida is a lot different looking than the North American Bigfoot up north. So I think that there might be some differences there.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's an answer that just goes across the board on the what are their teeth like.
Here's a question
Right.
from the chat. Maybe you can answer it, maybe you can't. Could Bigfoot be a spirit of some sort? I know it's
Yes.
hard.
That's not a hard question for me at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, so I'm part Native American, and so I will often like to gather Native American stories about Bigfoot. And there's, a lot of the times these Native stories are similar from tribe to tribe and from location to location. One of the things that my tribe believes is that Bigfoot is considered to be one of the little people. And not that he's little, but that he's a similar type of being that they can be physical and yet they can travel through the spirit world as well. So they can manipulate that. So that's one of the Native beliefs. The Cherokee, I've heard, believe that that Bigfoot are flesh and blood creatures, but then there are the Bigfoot that have passed on that are spirits that are interacting with people as well. So, I mean, I've heard that as well. My tribe specifically, and even so, we're talking about the Chippewa, the Ojibwe, the Cree, we're talking about the Dakota Sioux, all have very similar beliefs that Bigfoot has these abilities to move through dimensions, so to speak, and move through what you would probably call a portal. A native elder from the Turtle Mountain Reservation in North Dakota told me that Bigfoot can move through tunnels under the ground instantaneously from one place to another. And so what she just was describing to me, this instantaneous physical travel from one place to another through the ground and long distances, what she was describing to me was a portal, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And she talked about how that she would literally pray to Gypsy. She would pray to Bigfoot when she was driving home at night on the roads that are filled with deer. So people are always like praying, please, don't let me hit a deer. She would literally pray to Bigfoot, asking him to keep the deer off the roads. And she said she would see him standing along the road, keeping the deer away when she would drive by.
Oh, wow.
Very interesting stuff down out in the Turtle Mountain.
Somebody wrote, even Bigfoot's telepathic.
Yeah. We've
Yeah,
heard
I
a
think
lot
that-
about that.
Yeah, and the dogmen, I've heard that they can be telepathic. Not all of them communicate that way, but I think that is part of their abilities. Also, this ability to travel from one place to the other instantaneously. Like 1 minute the dog man is there, or somebody sees a Bigfoot, and then the next second it's just gone. Like it just steps out of view and it's just gone. Like as if there's some sort of a natural portal that they're in tune with, that they're able to use, whether it goes underground or just from, one part of the forest to the other. They definitely have some sort of like etheric quality to them. But however, I have heard stories of Dogman being shot and them seeing the bullet make contact with the chest and the chest muscle just blowing away, and the blood splatter. But the Dogman doesn't even flinch. Like it didn't even hurt him. And then the Dogman will proceed to chase these people and stuff. So it doesn't really always, it's not always a good idea to shoot at Dogman because it doesn't seem to do much. But it does bleed. They do see contact that the bullet would make with the skin and damage being done, but it doesn't really seem to do much to them.
I wouldn't recommend shooting any of these creatures for the most part, because probably you're not walking around with a gun big enough to kill one.
Yeah.
You're probably just going to make it mad.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they're ever truly alone. I think if you see one, there's probably two others for sure. So
absolutely, for sure. Dogman is the same way with that. If you see one Dogman, you can guarantee there's one or two more in the vicinity. May not be right there, but they're close by. And same with Bigfoot. I mean, you see one, just because you're seeing one doesn't mean you're going to see all the ones that are out there. They're just off your view just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And aren't you kind of, in a weird way, afraid if somebody, I know it sounds weird, like captures a Bigfoot, because knowing what our government and how they'll like steal it from the people, and I'm not saying do bad things, but you'll never really get the truth out of it, because we have a type of government might see fear from a Bigfoot and want to do their own, I hate to use the word, experiment on them.
That's the scary part. And you know what? We don't want to see any animal hurt, any being hurt, whether it's a people, whether it's a creature, whatever it is. We don't want to see it hurt, and that's why I think we're not going to be sharing our locations with anyone.
I remember that. You told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And so what was your question again? I'm sorry.
No, wouldn't you be afraid if you heard somebody actually captures a Bigfoot, because knowing the fact that the government will probably take them from?
Oh, they probably already have.
I've heard stories of people who have said that they killed a Bigfoot or they hit a Bigfoot on the road accidentally. I mean, they didn't try to hit it.
And you'll never know about it because they'll take them
and somebody will.
UFO will crash on a planet.
Yeah, and they take them, and they're gone.
It's to stop mass hysteria too. I mean, if you believe that for your entire life that this thing does not exist, no matter what it is, and then all of a sudden the world says, "Wow, yeah, it's true, they do exist," everybody's going to be freaking out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be a.
I think they underestimate the human brain. I mean, they've been saying that aliens are not real all this time, and now the government is releasing footage saying, "Hey, look, they are real." People know that they're real. I don't think that they're fooling anybody. I think that they just don't want the public involved, because then you come down to, is it human or is it an animal? If it's a human, it has rights. If it's an animal, then, it has different things and you can cage it and all this stuff. So I don't think that it would be in Bigfoot's best interest, nor the public's best interest, for us to address this, logically and out front in front of everybody, because I just think that it's just going to end up to be a big mess, and people are going to get hurt and Bigfoot are going to die. I think it's better letting people think that it's not real.
Well, there's a lot of stupid people out there. I mean, here I am watching people doing protesting, which they have every right to protest. You see it on the news. Then you get some, I'm not saying hillbillies, but you get some people with these Rambo 3 guns, showing off their rights. And I'm sitting there I was thinking about you girls, because I'm sitting there your whole message is gone, because you're looking like a dumbass holding a big Rambo 3 gun, like you're going to war. And I'm like, your whole message is gone. I remember I was thinking about you three, because you're like, we don't use weapons or nothing out there. We bring love. We're researching for the good of, because we want to research. You want to research.
Well, we bring more than love out there, but continue.
But you're so into it and you love it. And
yes,
like you said, if some knowledge of Bigfoot's real, you'll have a bunch of hillbillies back of pickup trucks with rifles and trying to go hunt this thing down, because they want to be the first one to show that we caught one, we murdered one. I mean, there's a lot of dumb people.
It is scary. It is scary that could happen. But you know what? There's bad people. There's good people. They're gonna do that with anything. You know what I mean? But going back to introducing aliens into society and in reality, I think that they have been squeezing it into our ideas and our thoughts for so long that it's finally okay now to kind of just say, okay, yeah, check out our videos. I don't think that we're there with Bigfoot yet. Bigfoot is still very much an idea, because we haven't found one. So we just need to find that one. But yeah, it is scary. It's scary to think.
Even if we have good video, even if we have that, there's so many people out there that are going to claim that it's fake. So,
exactly.
Oh yeah.
And I've told the girls many times, no matter what we find, no matter how awesome it is, somebody's going to be out there saying that's not real. And so we got to get our focus away from thinking that we want to find something to prove this, because we're going to be disappointed, because no matter what we find, there's going to be a whole section of people out there that doubt it. So my focus is to satisfy my own curiosity and to just share what we find for those who are interested. And that's what my focus is.
Definitely.
What do you guys think Bigfoot is? Do you think it's like something from the fallen angels mating with humans, or some type of a hybrid that was created at one point and it multiplied? And what do you think it is?
Tammy, why don't you take this one first?
We have different ideas. Go ahead,
Again, I do not speak for the entire group when I say this. I always have to clarify that, because I don't want it to affect them or the entire group because of my own personal thoughts. I think it's an interdimensional being. I think that it is from another realm, and I believe that they come and they are here to observe and to help guide. And I think that they can come and go in this realm through portals, through whatever, whenever they want to. I do think they are connected with aliens, and I think that it's too easy to try to debunk all of that, but yet people never have proof, of, oh, where are their bones? Or, where did they go? How come these tracks just stop right here and stuff like that? So people can call me woo if they want to, but from my experiences, I think that they are definitely interdimensional beings.
Well, it'd be hard to find
I
bones
agree.
also in a 1,000-mile forest with trees, bushes everywhere. I mean, and if you do find bones, how do you know it's not a bear bone, deer bone? I mean, come on.
I can tell bones.
Or human
I know
bones.
bones.
Could be a human
I know
bone
bones.
out there.
I know bones. I'm gonna grab something. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, well then I will go
Okay,
ahead and
Tammy,
answer
you
your
tell us your
question
view.
too. Yes. So my view, just like Tammy was saying, we all have our own personal views. It's nobody is 100% accurate because we don't know yet. But personally, I believe Bigfoot to be more of a people. 5 years ago, I really didn't even believe in Bigfoot. 4 years ago, I still thought this was a creature and like an animalistic, animal kind of a creature. Now I'm under the impression that this is more of a people, and the reason is because they have an ability to communicate, and they teach each other how to communicate. And not only that, oh, she's got the bones. Not only that, but they can. I'll let you guys look at that.
This is a button buck skull, and I actually found the entire skeleton. And they actually have wisdom teeth. Isn't that neat?
Wow.
Oh yeah, I didn't know they had wisdom teeth.
They have wisdom teeth, which is really neat. And I had never found a skull before that had this, and I thought, oh, that's creepy looking with the button. And I'm like, what the heck is that? It's a button buck. I found the entire skeleton, and I also found quite a few beavers and some big jackrabbits, and so I mean I've found different skeletons, and typically I'm finding the skull first, and then if I dig down I can find the rest of it, so over whatever's left. But it's been interesting to find that, so I'm hoping at some point we might be able to stumble upon some Bigfoot bones. Would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, they may do something particular with their dead that we don't know and understand. I mean, we bury our dead or cremate them, but they may have some whole other process, like maybe sticking them in some type of a bog or something, or a swampy area to decompose, to somehow use it to put back into the earth somehow. It's very interesting stuff. Some people have surmised and have ideas that Dogman may be a hybrid from a fallen angel mating with some type of canine wolf that spawned this this type of canid cryptid from the Cain bloodline, you might say. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't know where Dogman comes from, but I know that before the flood or the mud flood or whatever flood, there was a civilization of this type of cryptid. And there may have been, Bigfoot's had a different type of civilization before all this happened. The resets happen, and some of them make it through, but not all of them. They lose a lot of their culture, and now they're living back in the woods, kind of like starting over again, just like, say, like for us, it would be like going back to caveman time.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I don't speculate of where they came from, because what I've heard a lot of people ask me is, how long have Bigfoot been here, and and where did they come from? And I'm like, well, how long have we been here?
Yeah, where do we come from?
Where do we come from? I mean, we can't even answer that question ourselves. Yet we're asking that question.
I think they've been here the whole time we have. They've been here with us the whole time.
I think so too. And if you put up just a graph of different types of great apes, and you put humans into that, and you even make it a skeleton and a graph of Bigfoot in that whole graph of like great apes, Homo sapiens, Cro-Magnon, everything. The thing that does not fit is us. We're the ones that don't fit. Everything else has a short neck. Everything else has really, really long arms that go practically down to the knees. I mean, we are the ones that don't fit the model. So it makes more sense that we don't come from here. That's what.
Yeah, you just described Dogman's arms come down by his knees too. Like they kind of come out in front and they're really extra long, especially from the elbow down to the wrist. But yeah, that's very interesting. And I agree. It seems like we're the ones that don't fit here, that we have to, you know, like we don't have fur to protect us. We have to make clothes to wear. You know, we have to kill our food and cook it and stuff. That requires utensils of some sort to, you know, try to, you know, you have to cut the skin and everything. It's not like we're equipped to just tear into meat and, you know, live out in the wild. We have to shelter. So yeah, we do seem kind of like a square peg in all this, but yet at the same time, we can cohabitate with nature quite easily if we're in that, you know, spiritual alignment. But clearly most of the world isn't in that spiritual alignment now. And we're destroying a lot of this beautiful garden that we live on.
And if you look at the world in general and all the living beings on this planet, we as the human species are the only ones that don't fit. We literally live on this planet as if we are not from here because we're destroying everything. You know, we're the only species that does that. We literally are destroying everything. We're destroying our own environment that we need to live. So we're the only thing here. And if you look at even Native American stories about creation stories, all the creation stories, like specifically the Ojibwe one, which is, you know, what I know very, very well, is that everything was created first. The planet, everything was created first, then the animals, and then man was the last thing created. And because we are the youngest brother of all beings here, all the animals and all the trees and the plants have agreed to take care of us and to guide us because we don't know what we're doing. So according to all Native stories, we are the youngest species here. We're the newest species here. And literally, they talk about Bigfoot being our big brother.
What about this conspiracy theory right here? What if all these crypto creatures are the results from testing, experiments, search stuff, nuke, fallout? I know it's conspiracy.
My personal belief, I mean, and this is just my personal belief, that I suspect that we are human species are the result of tampering, genetic tampering, that we as a species are the result of that. And you know, that's what I think. The native people talk about being descended from the star people, you know, literally coming from aliens. So, you know, there's so much to back that up.
I heard that.
There is so much to back that up.
If the whole fallen angel thing is true, that's a genetic manipulation hybrid theory as well. If they made it with humans, they created giants. If they made it with gorillas or apes, they created types of Bigfoots. If they made it with wolves and different types of canines, they created dogmen. So I think there's definitely some sort of a genetic thing going on there, whether it's through fallen angels or fallen angel technology or interdimensional, outer dimensional beings coming into our realm and fooling around with stuff. The cheetah, I think it is, the cheetah has dog qualities and cat qualities. It gets dogs and cat diseases. It has dog and cat fur on it. It was clearly something came along and genetically modified this thing in some way because it doesn't fit any other profile of any other cat and stuff. So they think that might have been genetically altered at one point.
You know, it's just so interesting too. And, you know, I know people mention interdimensional. For me personally, I just can't believe that until I see more information and until we find more information. But I do think about, okay, you know, you've got people and we've got so much on our minds all the time, yet we're receiving information from all sorts of different, I mean, anywhere from messages to give to other people from people who have passed to, you know, just healing, to all these abilities that we have as human beings. Now, if we've got all this clutter in our minds and we're still capable of doing this and being able to receive this information, this is what I'm thinking. The only thing that I can think at this moment is that is what they have, and it's so much more strong. It's stronger because they don't have all the crap that we have to deal with. The world, basically. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Maybe I'm explaining it incorrectly.
Oh, it makes 100% sense there, because I feel like we're not living the way we're supposed to be living. We're living an unnatural lifestyle. Even the way we're born is unnatural. The whole process of the birthing process itself is wrong, upside down and backwards. So when you're born, you're already born in a trauma-based situation there. It's not a loving, easy birth in a nice warm pool of water with this intimacy between the mother and the baby. It's a sterile environment, needles and knives waiting for you the second you come out. A lot of terrifying stuff happens the day you're born. So, and then continuing in through the lifestyles that we live, given to us through this, governmental matrix that we live under. So that causes us to be killing the earth instead of working with it in a harmonic way. So, I don't know where I was going with that, but
well, I think you made a good point. I think you made a good point with the birth of the humans and things like that. We're the only species that's a land species that sweats through our skin, which is totally not a good plan, because dogs, cats, all these, they will sweat through panting to lower their body temperature. But to lose the fluid in our body through sweating, trying to cool our body, only marine animals would do that. Only marine animals would do that. So,
oh my gosh. Can you imagine if we all panted? The whole world would be going
right?
all the time. I would. I'm always hot.
90% of the molecules of our body are water. Molecules are very, very tiny, but 90% of our molecules in the human body are water. So for us to lose water is a dangerous thing. That's not something that I think would naturally happen for a land being. So I think that we originally come from water.
Then we have to constantly hydrate. We have to hydrate constantly. I'm actually postmenopausal, and I'm still dealing with extreme hot flashes at least 10 times a day. And it's like profusely sweating for a good 5 minutes straight, like I did an hour workout or something. So I'm constantly drinking water. I drink distilled water, by the way. It's definitely, something that, of course, if you're working out and you're sweating a lot, you got to hydrate. But for me, I have to hydrate all day long because I'm having these massive, intense hot flashes that go along with being postmenopausal and stuff. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate that too.
I know. I was going to ask you if you were there, hon. You kind of look all sweaty.
Sweating, having babies.
I tell you.
Yeah. Here's a good question. One guy wonders, Bigfoot buried their elders. I wonder.
I think they probably do.
Their family. They probably do.
I think they probably do. But I think that they probably do. But just like people could die in the woods without anybody knowing that, I think it's possible that Bigfoot could too. So there is still a possibility of finding remains someday. But I think it might be difficult because I think they probably do bury their dead.
Jen, I don't know if you saw that last comment, but I'm assuming it was for you. It said Jen is a legend.
Well, that's kind of hard to discern because there's four of us, or three Jens here.
Oh no, I'm Jen. I'm Jen now. You guys are Jens.
My name is Tammy.
We're all awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tammy, we're awesome too, Tammy. You and I, we're awesome.
That's right.
Well, darn it, if
Tammy's and
everybody's
Eric's
awesome.
are awesome.
Well, okay. Yeah. I guess you guys are right. You are awesome.
Yes.
No,
yes.
that's all. That is interesting. Now, Tammy, Gina, didn't Jen, is it her turn to tell a story, or did we all tell the story?
What story?
Or the question that True Seeker had earlier. I think we were all answering her question earlier. I can't remember. I don't know.
You mean when Jen brought the bone?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, I was in the middle of telling you what I thought
exactly.
Bigfoot was.
Yes.
Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, I didn't think you finished. I was curious on your part of the story.
Oh yeah, well, like I was saying, I believe that it is a many years ago. My thoughts were different, but now everything I've learned and all of the experiences that we've had and all the events that we've had and all the people that I've gotten to meet and see their evidence, I'm really thinking that this is a people, that this is just a people that have been so isolated and isolate themselves, and they have that. And the reason I think this is because I really do believe that they do have communication abilities, and this is something that they're not just grunting, to try to get their point across. They have literal words and sounds that they make, and they teach their children. If they were animals, I don't know if they could really teach their children how to communicate with other animals of the same, it's just, to me, it makes sense. But yeah, I definitely think that it is definitely a people. And I also think that if they do have any abilities as far as psychic or any kind of power or anything, I really think that it is just like us, that it comes through our minds and how open we are. And I think they are extremely open, and I can't put a limit on what they can or cannot do. So I just can't wait until we find out more information and maybe learn from them soon. So,
and see, I think that Bigfoot is a flesh and blood creature that may or may not come and go. I do think that there's at least some of them do, maybe not all of them. Just like some people have more natural abilities than other people do. So I think that there's that. But I tend to have a more Native American look at things. I never just accept something because I hear it. I put it in my mystery bag, and at some point further down the line, it might make sense and fit into the big picture puzzle. But until then, it goes into the mystery bag if I don't understand it, if I haven't seen it for myself. If it doesn't fit into that big picture puzzle, then it just goes in my mystery bag. I don't reject anything. I just put it in my mystery bag until it makes sense to me later, or it doesn't. And I always say the big picture is like a giant jigsaw puzzle. Somebody threw away the box. We don't know what it's supposed to look like till we put it all together, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever pieces are left over in that mystery bag are just left over. So that's my thought on that.
And she is serious, though. When she's talking about this little mystery bag she has, we were driving about, 3 or 4 years ago, and she was like, oh my gosh, hold on. And she literally went through her mind. This girl has the most amazing mind that I have ever come across. And she literally went through her mind as she was driving. I could just see her and then she went, oh yeah, this and this equal this. And I was like, how in the heck did you get that? She really does have a mystery bag in her brain. I wish I could get inside my mystery bag to find something, but I'll depend on Jen for hers. Thank you for having that mystery bag, Jen.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure Tammy has lots of mystery bags too, right?
Well, I know she does. but as far as consciousness is concerned, I
don't pretend to understand everything.
Oh, well, I don't understand everything either. That's for sure.
I don't pretend to understand everything. So
yeah.
When I get it, I get it, and it clicks. So
yeah.
Nice comment. Hello, beautiful people. I love you and missed you. She was here during your last show.
Oh, thanks for coming back. Aww. Awesome. And I'm going to say this because I know that your show gets a little bit more out there with the Mandela effect and whatever. So I'm going to get a little bit more. I'm going to get a little bit more risque than we normally do on the Bigfoot shows.
Go for it.
I've always been what I would consider an explorer of consciousness. And, I will say that I think that when I've got friends that are really into technology and they wanted time machines and they want teleporters invented. And I think that would be great too. But I think the true answer to that type of thing, because I think all of that is possible. Number one, why do I think that? Well, there's stories from the native people that talk about there were people that could literally travel from one place to another with simply a thought. And I'm not talking astral travel. I'm talking physical travel. And I've heard this directly from elders from my tribe talking about my ancestors from my family could do it. So things like that. But I think that consciousness itself is the thing that unlocks that door. And I think that it's possible in all species to be able to do that. And that perhaps if we're getting more attention from the UFOs these days, perhaps they're recognizing that more and more of us are becoming closer to that ability. that we're unlocking that ability within ourselves with our consciousness. And I literally know a lady that I went to a college with, and I posted something on Facebook one day about UFOs, and I said something about if you're interested in UFOs, and she messaged me privately. She said, I'm always interested in that. And she said she was an abductee, and that she said that her whole life she had been taken, and they had told her that what they were trying to do was they were trying to hybridize people who had higher states of consciousness and had unlocked that DNA within themselves. And they were trying to fuse that with their own DNA, because at the current time, they were interdimensional travelers. They were using technology to do so, but they wanted to be able to do it naturally without technology. And that's why they were trying to hybridize with humans that were having a higher conscious awareness. And she had this whole story about that. And I really asked her hard, will you please come on my radio show to talk about that? And she said, absolutely, she would not do that. She didn't want to call more attention to it or give any more attention to it, because she literally put her foot down and said, you will not take me again. But I mean, a lot of what she told me were things that I was thinking anyway, like, why would they be taking people? What do they want from us? And I've always talked about the consciousness aspect of unlocking this higher consciousness within self to open these different abilities that I think are available to all of us. And we either do it or we don't.
Wow. That's good. That's deep. I like it.
That's her mystery bag, man.
Oh, there's a lot more in there.
Guy wrote in there that we know what a mystery bag is. It's called purse.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
But beyond Bigfoot and like Dogman, there's so many different stories out there with creatures. I heard stories like the Moss Man, or other ones. Is there any other kind of a creature story you've heard, like the third most behind Bigfoot that's out there?
Chupacabra, that's a big one down south. Chupacabras when I lived down in southern Texas, they told me about it, and I was just teasing, and I went, Chupacabra, and they were like, no, don't say it 3 times. So I was like, Chupacabra, because here I am in Minnesota, I have no idea what Chupacabra is, and so I said it, and they were freaking out, and these guys down south, I mean, it would be thundering and lightning, and some of the older grandparents would say, no, you're not getting on the phone during a lightning storm. Nope. They wouldn't let their grandkids or their children get on phones during storms. And so they're very, very particular on their thoughts. And boy, Chupacabra really, it scared the dickens out of them.
Is that the videos I've seen that people were screaming outside, and they were screaming that, but really loud?
I don't know what video you're talking about.
There's some videos, I think, because I heard that word that people were screaming at night with some buildings. They're hearing like people screaming from a window, and they were screaming that word.
Chupacabra?
Yeah.
Well, the Chupacabra is it's like a little, and you can look at it. There's some different descriptions of what a Chupacabra looks like, but what it's supposed to be is this little devilish creature that goes around and sucks the blood and maims and kills and
Oh, somebody wrote equals goat sucker.
Yes, exactly. And for a long time throughout history, they were finding animals that had been mutilated and the blood completely drained, and so that's one of them.
Is technically the snowman, the abominable snowman, is basically a Bigfoot?
There's so many words for Bigfoot. I think a Yeti is more like an abominable snowman. So
yeah, they have more fur. They have a lighter colored fur. They got to blend in with the snow. Okay, and it's a thicker fur. It's longer, and they just adopted that abominable snowman thing on there. But yeah, I think that's just another, we have humans that live all over the plain. I'm sure Bigfoot's all over the plain as well.
Exactly. We all don't look alike. So
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard the word Jersey Devil a lot, and I would think the Jersey Devil could just be another Dogman if you really think about it.
Exactly, dude. Yes. Yeah, the Jersey Devil. I wasn't sure what that was for a while until I came upon Dogman, I'm like, oh, the Jersey Devil. That's what this thing is. Yeah. And I might mention Dogman is extremely fast as well, especially when he's up on two legs. He can run really fast. And people have in the Pine Barrens over there in New Jersey. I lived in Philly all my life. I heard stories of the Jersey Devil. You get out there in the Pine Barrens, you get yourself all turned around. Next thing you know, Dogman's there and terrifying you. But they called it the Jersey Devil. He has real pointy ears that kind of lean back, which are his natural ears, but people mistake them as horns sometimes. It depends on the lighting in the forest and all. Extremely long claws and hands with huge arms, canine legs, back bent legs. It can go down on all fours. When it gets up on two legs, they hear a popping noise, seems like its joints are popping into place so it can adjust its hips, I guess, and stuff. Yeah, that Jersey Devil, that story goes back for a couple hundred years, I think.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There are so many different cryptids out there. What do you guys, Tammy, Jen, what do you guys think the next one after Bigfoot is? The most common?
Probably Dogman. That's the one that I've heard the second most stories about sightings of.
Yeah.
What do you ladies know about the rake?
Ooh,
Not much.
Have you heard of creature called the rake? It's some sort of long, slenderly, kind of almost see-through, spindly looking creature of some sort.
We
Looks
did
like
talk
a
about that.
starving thing. Yes.
We did
Yeah,
talk about
actually
that.
one of my friends saw it probably about, 8 years ago or so. And they say in theory that if you see it, you're going to die. But I mean, he just saw it like crawling along the back of a fence. And it was a wooden fence, not a fence you can see through. And he happened to be outside and looked over to his left, and there was this thing crawling. Yep, just like that, crawling across the side of the fence. And that was all he saw of it. He never saw it again, but it scared the crap out of him.
Yeah, I think the legends of Slender Man, if you've heard any of those stories about Slender Man being seen in the woods, I think it's this creature here.
What do you guys think about?
Man's supposed to be like almost 20 feet tall and, really long arms and stands up. And, this thing is like crawling on the ground, and it is hardly ever seen standing up. And I don't think it's near 20 feet tall. So, I mean, I've heard a lot of different stories about both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard at one time somebody saw it crawling up a tree, a big tree. And then when it went to get down out of the tree, it just completely turned its head around and reversed its arms the opposite way and went down, like as if it's double jointed everywhere or something. And I do hear a lot of it crawling.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. I don't hear very many stories of it being upright, but they do go upright. But they seem to be more natural on all fours.
Right. They can. Right.
I think there are so many.
Slender Man is a tall being.
I just think that there's so many creatures and so many beings out there that we have no idea about. I mean, I've seen things just in the past 5 years that I would have never believed could have existed with my own eyes. And I'm really excited to continue the journey that we are on to find out more about Bigfoot and possibly more about other beings too. So
Donald Trump and Mothman.
So my theory on this Mothman, I think that this thing came up through some sort of a portal that from not a good place. If you
what if
look
this
up,
is the not good place?
I don't know.
Oh,
I think this is a pretty good place. I think the people in it are not good. But Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard did a ritual out in the desert a long time ago and opened up a portal. And they never closed it. They never finished out the ritual to where they closed the portal. And things have been coming through. I'm sure you ladies heard of Skinwalker Ranch and all the craziness that's going on there. The entities that seem to come in and out of nowhere in this one particular area, like as if something's open there or the veil's really thin. I think some of these creatures at certain times of the seasons or after a cyclical cycle of some sort, they're able to come through for a certain period of time and wreak their havoc here, whatever they do.
Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on there.
Yeah.
I think that's a hot spot for activity of very many different kinds.
I love that picture.
Absolutely. Oh, Paul. Yeah.
You know, there's a show that you can watch on TV called Hangar One, and it's like MUFON Files that they're doing a show about, and Mutual UFO Network, and that's the people who go out and investigate UFO sightings, and they came out with a TV show called Hangar One, and in season 2, there's an episode that really talks about the Native American connection to UFOs, and it was very, very interesting because they were talking about this reservation down in the Southwest where they were seeing UFOs, and nobody even made a phone call to make a report anywhere. They were just like, yeah, we get a lot of that, and no alarming anything, that this was just normal to them. And it's interesting because I've seen similar reactions to UFOs on the reservations up here, that they don't even make a phone call about it. But yet, as soon as a military helicopter shows up over the same area, they're all calling in to report that there's a helicopter here that shouldn't be here. So the fact that they're very, very comfortable with UFOs and alien star people visiting, but yet the U.S. military isn't welcome. I mean, I think that the others, we'll call them the others out there, that are non-human entities, are knowing that the reservations are probably the safest place to be. So for letting them continue on doing whatever they're doing without being interrupted.
Here's an old Red Pill Paul wants to know, what about Loch Ness?
Loch Ness is very interesting because in North America here, we have similar creatures. In Minnesota, there is, let me find the name in my head. It's a hard one to find. I actually went up and it's not Winnie. I can't remember. I actually have been there and looked for him. That was quite a few years ago. But it's in Minnesota, southern Minnesota, actually. I'd have to look into that again to see what the name is. I can't find it in my head right now. I'm sorry.
No problem.
But there's Champy. There's Champy. That's not in Minnesota, but there are different reports of these lake monsters. And what could they be? It could be an old dinosaur that's still, around. And I often have wondered about underground lakes and rivers that are going into underground spaces, that perhaps there's creatures down there that we just have forgotten about, and maybe they come up to the surface every now and then. I think that's very possible. In Minnesota, we're the land of 10,000 lakes. We have so many lakes here, and I often think that they're probably, some of them at least, connected underground through underground waters, and that things could be.
I have an underground river on my land. My well is a flowing well. It comes from an underground river, so I have that on my land.
Yeah. And I think that it's very possible that there's creatures underground that are in these underground spaces, that maybe they find their way out sometimes and come up to the surface. Maybe it's a time rip. Maybe it's something like that. We don't know. It's definitely fun to look into. But specifically, there's been reports up here of these giant black snakes in the rivers, and there's even lots of native drawings and all over the place about these giant large snakes and giant large serpents, and but they're being sighted, like for real, being sighted again. And I mean, I'm talking giant. So where are they coming from? Where have they been? Have they been hibernating in the mud? I mean, how long have they been gone? Because there's certain kinds of toads that can hibernate in the mud for 400 years and then pop out again. So, I mean, those types of things are possible for any type of creature that could do that.
And Jen, you think that there's underground caves underwater, right? Underwater caves. You think that there's caves underneath just on Earth, basically under the ground. Because I know that people have also talked about Bigfoot going through and traveling through the tunnels, and maybe that's why sometimes they're not being spotted, how they can disappear like boom, So
I was in a boat on the lake in Minnesota, and I was anchored up tightly, and I was standing barefoot in the boat. Okay, so and it wasn't a fancy boat, so it was literally just an aluminum boat. So my feet were right on the aluminum, and something hit the bottom of the boat, and we were completely still. Something hit the bottom of the boat right under my foot, and it hit it hard enough to move the boat with the anchor. And I literally felt it, and I was like, "Holy crap! What just did that? That wasn't a fish." You know, what could have done that strong enough to move the boat like that? I mean, insane. And that made me really start thinking about what could be under the water that we're not knowing about. Are there underground passageways in the water that are connecting the lakes or going to some other underground water areas that something could come out of? Made me really want to take up scuba diving in the lakes in Minnesota. That's something I'd still love to do, to see what's going on underneath the water.
Well, this person thinks there's been cities underground.
Absolutely. I think so too. I think so too.
And there's parts of the ocean that we can't even still reach. So who knows what's down there?
Exactly. Isn't it true that we only know about 10% of what is in our oceans? Just think about,
Yeah.
I mean,
and there's part of the
wow.
rainforest that we had never been there yet. So, you know, who knows down there? Because you hear stories all the time. New species found, a new bug, new
My
insect.
gosh, new monkey was found. How many years ago? Like 4 or 5 years ago, a flat-nosed monkey was found. They said that it was just something that people were making up until someone finally captured them on film, and then they were able to give them a name and study them a little bit more. So, I mean, that's incredible. That's a monkey. You know, you'd think that everything would be kind of found by now, but I guess I'm being ignorant.
I think there's all kinds of species on the planet, on the land, in the air, and in the water, and even underground that we don't know about yet. I think there's so much, you know, we know a lot more about space than we know about what's in our own ocean, really, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're the smartest creature on this planet is a really bizarre idea. To maintain that idea, I think that we are definitely not.
Well, technology is getting better. Cameras are getting better. Probes, you know, getting better. You know, we'll eventually get to those places that we can't. You know, that'd be fun. Now, the paranormal side, because you all came from the paranormal side even before you started to do the Bigfoot team. Do you still practice the paranormal side? Do you once in a while still maybe go on a ghost hunt once in a while?
It never leaves you, but I mean, you're always around it, but I don't. I was never on a team. These two were, so I'll let them answer the question.
Well, what's funny though is, Jenna, you know, on TV when you see a movie where the assassin has this silver suitcase that has padding in it and they open it up and they have their super sniper rifle in there. Jenna has one of these huge suitcases that looks like that she rolls in, and she opens it up and it's full of equipment. It's
I got really into this.
She looks like an assassin rolling in there. I'm like, watch out, everybody. Here comes Jenna with her assassin suitcase. So,
and as I walk in, I hear this in my head. Dun 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 dun.
Exactly.
I walk in with my silver case. Actually, it's a case that it does fit everything. It holds everything fabulously. It keeps everything very protected. But by golly, the weight of this case is ridiculous. So I stopped carrying it with us everywhere.
But I opened it up. I opened up her case one day and I'm looking at there. She goes, "What should we bring along on this trip, Jen?" And I'm looking in there and I'm like, "Jenna, why do you have 3 spirit boxes? Why?" You have the SP7, you have the SP11, and you have this other one that I don't even know, a ghost box or whatever. Why do you have 3 spirit boxes?
Hey, you got to try them all to make sure what works and what doesn't work and what works best. And actually, one of them was already broken, my best one. So that's all I have to say about that.
I think the SP7 of spirit boxes is probably, that's my favorite. I have an SP7.
That's the one that broke.
Is that the one that broke?
I saw in the Bible the other day in Revelations that there will be a water monster.
Yes. That is in there in Revelations. There's a water monster and there's a land monster.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like what? I don't read the Bible, but I mean, what is it saying in the Revelations that this water monster is going to do something, or It's gonna show itself.
Boy, this is way back machine for me. So off the top of my head, I probably can't answer that question really well.
Then with evolution and the Mandela effect, you never know what will into existence. That's true.
And that brings into the idea of the effect of having a tulpa. So anytime we're experiencing things like this, and for those who don't know what a tulpa is the idea that we are creating the things that we're thinking about. So you hear cases of paranormal activity in homes where there wasn't any paranormal activity there until the ghost hunters started to go in there. And then all of a sudden there is ghost activity there. So you have to wonder, did they create the ghost activity as a tulpa, or did they just activate it because they were in search of it there? It brings a whole new gamut of questions in there. Tulpa is a very good, fun topic to explore. That's a whole long topic.
Why would they be there in the first place if they've heard no experiences going on? That is interesting.
Well, sometimes people think any old place where something traumatic happened should be haunted. And regardless of whether or not people were in there saying that nothing had ever happened. So, is it the... I'm trying to think of which place it was specifically. I think it was, the axe, what was her name? The one who killed her family or killed her dad. The axe. Oh, help me find
The 40 wax.
Yes, that one.
Lizzie Borden.
Yes, Lizzie Borden.
See, I can't always find the words in my head. But I'm glad you can speak it anyway.
Doesn't happen very often where she searches and can't find it. So this is
yeah, got it.
A rare win.
Yeah.
Yes, very
I've
rare.
actually been to Lizzie Borden's house.
Have you?
Have you?
And so what I've heard from people who live
I went there.
Is that it wasn't having any haunting activity for years and years and years and years. And then suddenly somebody acquired it and opened it up to do that kind of thing. And all of a sudden then there was activity, but there hadn't been before that.
Well, I've heard stories where people bought a house, like you said, nothing happened.
Myself and my children.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can go, Tammy.
Myself and my children we all have abilities. We have gifts. And we went to the Lizzie Borden house. And my daughter did not see Lizzie Borden or any of her family. What she did see was a little girl. And she was talking to this little Lizzie. And she was playing with the little girl during the tour. So it was quite interesting. And it was the same night that they were in there, John Zappis and them, when they had that show, A Haunted Collector.
Oh,
they were
I
in
love
there
John.
investigating that night. I ran into Brian. I was surprised to see him there. And I was, hey, I know you. He's like, I know you. What are you doing here? You live in Minnesota.
That's
so I just
awesome.
ran into it. But it was really cool. But yeah, there was activity there. But it wasn't Lizzie Borden, and it wasn't her father or anything. It was a little girl. So.
And so that could be then, okay, so we know that when gifted people are somewhere, I think that we have a brighter light into our light body or to our aura, and that the lost spirits are naturally attracted to us, right? So let's say that somebody's going into a location thinking it might be haunted, and they start a paranormal investigation, and maybe there isn't anything going on there. The lost spirits in the area from outside might even be just drawn into that area because somebody's looking to interact. So it might not necessarily be because something happened there. It's just because you start looking there and they're like, oh, hello, I'll answer your call.
Well, I've heard stories where people went to a graveyard and something followed it back home. I mean, I've heard stories like that. Or there's a house that nothing has ever happened, but they tore down a wall, they're rebuilding it, and it upset the spirit that they never knew they had until they actually start rebuilding something.
Yeah. This scary part, and I know that Jen and Tammy have had this happen. I don't know about you guys, but I've literally I've woken up to someone trying to jump in me. And Jen was talking about that light. People want to get in that light so bad. How would you explain that, you guys?
Oh, when I've crossed spirits over, I use my own light body. So I cross them into my light body and into the light that way.
But I'm talking about the jumpers that are like literally trying to jump while you're while you're sleeping. Yeah.
I don't know that they try to jump in me when I'm sleeping.
Or not sleeping, but
I think that a lot of times that there are spirits that like to jump into people when they're not in full control of their body. Like
There you go.
When people post pictures of themselves at the bar, sometimes I can see spirits around them, like just waiting.
So if they don't want to jump in,
that's why they call it. That's why they call it wine and spirits, because the spirits are waiting there to jump in you. And also, I heard about these mojos or something, these dark entities that hang over doorways. And if you have a really low vibrational frequency going on, you have a lot of depression and anger and regret going on in your mental state. When you walk through these doorways where they're hanging out, they'll try to drop down into you through your crown chakra.
And what is it called? A mojo?
A mojo, yeah.
Is that what you said? A mojo? I'm going to have to look into that. I've never heard of those. That's interesting to me.
They seem to be some sort of a black blobby entity. They've been caught on a few different cameras. It's like almost like a shadow figure, but it hides up around the doorway of different entrance, and even in your house. It could be a doorway in your house somewhere. And then they drop down into the crown chakra because your vibration's so low. You're already in that negative state, just like somebody who would be drinking for the wrong reasons and stuff, and get, even more open to this stuff.
Well, not only that, but I don't know if you guys, I always tell Tammy and Jen, there's a time between sleep and being awake that I call the in-between place. And that's the place where I am when I was trying to be, jumped. But that's also a place where it seems like you can connect with so many different other entities. Would that be a good way of explaining it? But it's like an in-between place between sleeping and being awake. And it's just this, I wish I could explain it. It's not a universe looking thing.
Feel when you slam down into your body, like when you're half awake sometimes and half asleep, and then you'll feel like you just fell back into yourself?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah, and you bounce on the bed and you're like, oh. Yeah.
What about that part? Sometimes you hear stories where people are in bed and they can't move. Their eyes are open, they're wide awake, but something is holding them there where they can't even move. There's different beliefs in that.
Part of that is, I think, science and the human body and mind over matter. Sometimes our fear does stop us in our tracks. So I can't say that I believe that.
I've been held down by entities before.
Have you?
I've been held down in my bed.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that I think a lot of the cases, it's mind over matter. I'm not saying all cases. What happened to you, Tammy?
Right. Well, I lived in this apartment in Illinois that was haunted by a woman who had died in the place, and she wasn't a nice woman. But the longer I lived there, the more brave she got. And this was before I became much more fearless. These were like my first huge experiences with these things. And, she would like grab me when I was sleeping and try to pull me through the wall, like hit my head on the wall and the headboard and stuff. But one night she held me down, and there was a hand going up my leg, going up my body, and I could feel it. And I told my husband at the time about it, and he's like, "Oh, you're silly. That didn't really happen." Well, it happened again, and I'm like, and I was awake and I couldn't move, but I could talk. And I'm like, hey, it's happening right now. It's happening right now. It's touching me. And he put his hand on my side, and he felt the hand too. So
wow.
that was probably like the biggest thing that had happened to me when a lot of this stuff first happened. I mean, I've been dealing with this stuff all my life, but that was one that it was definitely a new experience for me at the time.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't happened to me. I'm thankful for that. Jen, has that ever happened to you?
I had an experience where I was dealing with some people that were doing some bad medicine, and they had some spirits that were trying to pull me out of my body. They did pull me out one time, and after that, I could just feel the hand coming in and trying to grab me out. And somebody sat close enough to me where their leg was touching me, and they felt it happen at the same time. They felt, you could literally feel this hand reach up inside and like try to pull you down. It was the ickiest feeling ever. It was the ickiest feeling ever. But the time that it succeeded and pulled me out, it felt like I got yanked out of my body, and my body started to fall, and I was standing next to it.
And these people that did this to you, they were more, they were kind of, I think, scared of you over anything, weren't they?
That was kind of the it's a big thing that I don't really like to talk about very much because all that's in the past now. But because there's lots of people that do good medicine, but there are others that will do some things that aren't so good. And I didn't even know that existed. I just knew the good stuff. So when that happened, it was very shocking to me. And Tammy can remember when that happened because I was just like, I didn't understand why this would be happening to me or why. But apparently, from what I understand, there was some fear of me being able to do something to them. But I mean, I'm not one that just comes up and starts a war with anyone, no matter. I'm the least judgmental person you'll probably ever meet. And I'm always looking for the good inside of somebody, no matter how bad they are. So if anything, I would be like, oh, let me help you to be better. I would never walk up and be like, bam, I'm going to kick your butt. Even if I could, I'm the most peaceful person you ever meet. And I always say, if there was a place that there might be a fight, I would take the most peaceful people with me usually. But if I knew that I couldn't avoid the fight, I'd take Tammy. That's my backup. And Jenna, I would take Jenna. But
I'm the in between. I'll help you until you really screw me over. Then there's no walls. There's no barriers.
I know Tammy but I've actually seen Jenna puff up too, in protection mode. So I got my girls in my back here, but honestly, at that time I was so naive to that kind of thing. And I'm less likely to charge in trying to help people now because of what happened.
Yeah, it's scary. People,
not everybody has your best interest.
Yeah, and people say, oh, well, it doesn't work on you if you don't believe. I don't think that's true. It doesn't matter if you believe or not. You just don't understand what's happening.
I didn't believe in it when it happened to me. I didn't even know what was happening. I was literally scared to death after it happened because I didn't know what could do that. I didn't know that was even possible. And it wasn't until, I got through that and learned from all that experience that I learned, what could be done. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but
we are gonna wind down the show here a few minutes. Just let people know what's going on. I'll let you give last comments on what's coming up. My show tomorrow will not be at 11 a.m. I'm moving it to 1 p.m. because tomorrow is my birthday, so it won't be a long show.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, I'm turning 21, and it's just sad I can't go in a bar tomorrow. I wish I was turning 21. Tomorrow's show, I do have a guest. The guest I'm having coming on, he's pretty hated in most communities. I don't know if anybody have heard of this guy. I'm being serious. He has a lot of trolls. He's called It's Time to Wake Up. He is hated, but I told him he could come on. He can, just speak. I give everybody a chance. I don't debate. We just have discussions. So it's going to be an interesting show. That it's a guy who doesn't believe in anything in a way. So it's going to be a very interesting back and forth show. So that's tomorrow. And Truth Seeker, you got anything coming up tonight, tomorrow with Steve JMO or any private shows coming up?
We're going to continue on with our Mud Flood series on Steve's channel, and then coming up, probably over the weekend, I'll do something on my channel. I just haven't figured out what the topic's going to be yet. But yeah, we're really deep into the Mud Flood stuff on Steve's channel right now. We already did a second show last night about it, and we're going to get into some more stuff all around the plane of the architecture, the similar architecture that's everywhere. And where all this stems from with the mud flood and everything, and even getting into Cenocephali, and that whole depiction of this dog man pre-mud flood.
That's awesome. Dogman is just so interesting. It really is.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Got any shows coming up? She-Squatchers? Anything coming up? Big coming up soon? I know you're going to October. I know you're going to Yakima.
Oh, well, we do a show. We have a radio show on the Parax Radio Network. And then we also video it and upload it to our YouTube channel at She-Squatchers Official every Wednesday night. So you can check that out. We have the ability to do live shows on YouTube, but we just haven't done it yet. We should probably maybe do some of that soon here. We keep saying that, but we haven't.
Go for it.
We haven't done it yet.
What's the internet radio show you're talking about? What's the name of it?
It's The Journey. And it's on the Parax Radio Network Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central for an hour. And then we record the video of it and upload it to our YouTube channel. So you can check it out. You can check out the video version of it on our YouTube channel.
And you also have a .com website, the She-Squatchers.com, where they get that information from.
Yeah, She-Squatchers.com. And we have a Facebook page, She-Squatchers Official. So that's where we're going to post all of our up-to-date what's going on. I don't have a guest lined up for next week. So anybody want to come on our show and talk about cryptids and Bigfoot, let me know. You can email me at shesquatchers@yahoo.com. So,
Otherwise you get to hear Jen and I and Tammy speak about nothing. Yahoo!
There's always stuff to talk about.
We talk about nothing.
That's true. Fun nothings.
You don't have to have a script or nothing. We could all come up with something. I mean, there's so much stuff that's going on out there. I mean, not just Bigfoot, UFOs, Mandela effects. I mean, there's so much stuff that's going on. It's like we're living in an era now that more people are waking up to this. It's not far stretched for anybody anymore. People are listening to Bigfoot. I mean, like you said about UFOs, there's an article now that the military is coming out with UFOs are true. The last 3 sightings. There's even more meteorites footage coming out. I mean, it's just like everything is coming out in the open now. It's kind of cool.
Funny?
Yep.
Isn't that funny though that that's coming out and it's not like big news either? It's not even big news.
No, it's not. It's not. It's almost.
It's normal.
It's like, I hate that word, the new normal, but it's kind of cool. But it takes brave people.
It's normalized.
It takes brave people like the Truth Seeker coming out, giving their opinions on stuff. That's how the truth comes out. Getting real people to come out and just talk about it.
I agree 100%.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Well, go ahead.
Somewhere.
No,
it's got to start somewhere and coming together and just talking, especially about all the things they told us we shouldn't talk about, like religion and politics. We should have been talking about that stuff all this time. Maybe we wouldn't be in the mess we're in right now.
Well, actually, I don't talk about religion or politics with people because they get so upset that I start feeling it. And it's like, I don't even want to go there because when you start feeling somebody else's, it's tough.
I'm saying if we were talking about it this whole time, it wouldn't be such a when you get to it nowadays. But I see what you're saying there. Poly means many, takes bloodsuckers.
There's a deep-seated fear.
Yeah, because we're not always going to agree on everything. You should live in the state of Washington. Oh my God, if you say something about a different party, everybody is like you're talking about has a hammer and an axe ready to chop you down. I mean, if you say one nice thing, say Trump did something nice. Just say he did. You say something nice about Trump, oh my God, it's like you're the fucking devil. And you're like, not everybody's bad. There's got to be some good things about somebody.
Well, and that's the thing about life. If you want to go through life in a halfway decent, normal mindset, you've got to let things go. You cannot constantly be so negative that you let that negativity destroy you. You know what I mean? You got to look at your situation and say, okay, I may be really sick all the time, but guess what? I still have my legs. I still have my arms. My mom taught me that. I grew up and she said, Jenna, there's always something positive to find in your situation, no matter how bad it is. And sometimes it seems like you can't find it. Like there's no way you can find it, but you can if you just look. Sometimes you have to look pretty hard to find it.
That is 100% true. So I want to thank every single one of you for coming on. And True Seeker, thank you for co-hosting it. I appreciate that. I know it was like last minute kind of a deal. Not actually last minute. I asked you last week.
Okay.
So this is fantastic. So, all right. Well, I want to say goodbye to everybody, and hopefully in the future we can all come back on again.
Sounds good. Thanks for
It
having
was
us.
nice meeting you, ladies.
Nice meeting you too.
Have a
Bye,
nice
everybody.
night.
Thanks for
Bye.
tuning in.
Oh, did it freeze?
And the hour is nearing midnight.